These adorable creatures are nunny or goats. This is Boris, Brad, Anna and Elsa. They live here on a small lifestyle property. Being the guardian of a goat is a big responsibility. Just like us, they each have their own personalities, wants and needs. It's important that we understand these needs and provide everything they need to live happy, healthy lives. Sometimes people mistakenly believe that goats can eat anything. While some goats might attempt to chew on all sorts of things, goats cannot eat just anything. Goats are vegetarians and need a nutritious and varied plant-based diet to remain healthy.
I heard that goats make good lawnmowers. Is that true?
I've heard that one too, and no, it's not true. Goats actually make terrible lawnmowers because they're browsers.
What do you mean browsers? Do you mean internet browsers?
No, actually, when I say browsers, I mean that they forage for their food, so they only select the best and juiciest parts for their diet. If you left them on your lawn will end up looking very, very patchy. And for a healthy goat, they need to have more than just grass in their diet.
I didn't know that.
Goats need to eat a range of trees, shrubs, hedges, leaves, grasses, and various other plants. Good quality hay should make up about half of your goat's diet. They need this fibre to help them digest everything else. Goats also enjoy a small amount of goat pellets and some goat-safe vegetables. Because not all vegetables and plants are safe for goats to eat, check with your vet before feeding them anything new.
Is this the water that they drink?
Yep, it's one of their many troughs that they have scattered throughout the farm. It's really important that goats have plenty of access to fresh, clean drinking water.
How much water do they drink?
Well, quite a bit actually. On a hot day, a single goat can drink up to 27 litres of water.
That is a large amount.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's really important you keep on top of it.
Feeding your goats the right food for them is a great way to keep them healthy and show them your love. Goats are curious and active animals, so they need a lot of space and plenty of opportunities to climb, explore, and play in a safe environment. Boris, Brad, Anna, and Elsa love their playground and even climb on their shelters for fun. Goats are fantastic climbers. They love getting up high.
Is this where they sleep?
It sure is. These goats actually have lots of different options for shelter, and not just for sleeping. It's really important that goats have shelter from the wind and rain because they don't like getting cold and wet, and you need to make sure that their shelter is nice and clean and dry. Speaking of clean, do you want to help me clean this one out?
Yeah, sure.
A goat's bedding should be made out of materials such as straw, hay, or wood shavings, and needs to be deep enough to provide warmth and comfort. You need to remove damp straw and bedding regularly and replace it with fresh stuff. Just like you and I, a goat won't be comfortable in a dirty, smelly bed. Another important consideration is to check that there are no poisonous plants in your goat's enclosure. Some common plants like buttercups, privet, and ivy can make them very sick. It's a good idea to talk to your goat's vet about plants in their paddock to make sure that they're safe. Goats are also well known for nibbling on all sorts of things, so make sure there are no electrical cables, chemicals, or even gumboots left out where they can reach them.
Is it okay to tie a goat to its fence or shelter?
Yeah, you do see some people doing that, but unfortunately it's not actually okay. This is what we call tethering a goat, and it's when you tie a leash or chain around their neck or their ankle and it keeps them in one spot. Because goats are really active and intelligent creatures, this can cause pain, injury, can let them get lonely or depressed, and it's really not good for them.
Is it okay to have them on a lead like this one?
Yeah, absolutely. From time to time, it's good to get them out and exercising and enriching their lives, as long as you're not pulling too tightly on the leash.
I won't. Okay, Boris, did you hear that? I won't.
Goats love an adventure, which often leads to them exploring areas outside of their enclosure. Unfortunately, this can be very dangerous, as they can get lost, eat something poisonous, or wander onto the road. Goats are excellent escape artists, so you'll need to have a tall fence, and it should be strong and durable so it won't be knocked down by any curious goats. And you need to make sure your gate is secure. Often goats are clever enough to work out how to open them. Providing a fun and safe space for your goats to live in is an important part of being a responsible goat guardian. Nani or goats can make fantastic companions. They each have their own personalities, wants and needs. Just like you have a family doctor you see when you're unwell, your goats will need their own vet. Not all vets look after goats, so it's important you find one who has experience caring for them.
How do you know if your goat is sick?
Well, if you get to know your goats, you should know what's normal for them, and then you should be able to see what things are not normal or weird for them.
Like if they have gunk in their eyes?
Absolutely. If they've got gunk in their eyes, if their breathing or walking is not normal, or if they're not eating and drinking normally. And if you do think they are sick or injured, you should call your vet for advice straight away.
There are some things you can do to help your goat stay healthy, like feeding them a good, goat-friendly diet. Another is trimming their hooves. Just like our toenails keep growing, goats need their hooves trimmed from time to time as well. If they grow too long, they can become painful and cause problems. Trimming hooves is something a vet can teach adults to do at home. Preventing health problems is always better than trying to cure problems. An important part of caring for goats is making sure they get regular checkups by the vet and have vaccinations and medicine to keep them healthy. Drenching helps fight parasites like stomach worms and lice. One common thing you need to look out for with goats is bloat. This is when goats get too much gas stuck in their stomachs and their bellies kind of swell up like a balloon. It sounds funny, but bloat can be really serious.
Bloat can be caused by lots of different things in goats, but it is important that if you see your goat's stomach swelling up suddenly, it is an emergency and you need to call your vet. Another issue we commonly see in goats is sore feet. Now, sore feet can be caused by lots of different things as well. If it's winter, it may be foot rot. If it's spring or summer, it could be a disease called laminitis, which is when they eat too much sugar in the diet and they get sore feet. Either way, you need to call your vet, as we can treat these things to keep your goat happy and healthy.
Brushing your goats is another great way to keep them clean and healthy. Most goats hate getting wet or cold, so it's best to avoid washing them. A regular brush should help keep their coats clean and soft. Brushing your goats is also a great way to bond with them and earn their trust. Keeping an eye on the well-being of your goats and getting them help quickly if they're unwell is a great way to show them your love. Boris, Brad, Anna and Elsa are all nani or goats. That means that it's important they get to express their natural goat behaviours, like exploring and climbing.
Do you guys know what baby goats are called?
I'm pretty sure they're called kids, just like us.
Absolutely, just like us, and just like human kids, they love playing on jungle gyms and playgrounds. It's a good thing for them to be able to climb and get up high.
Why do they like climbing so much?
It's in their nature. So in the wild, they would climb up things to get to berries and leaves, and it's also a good defense mechanism so they can escape and see predators.
Another important behaviour for goats is called browsing. This means they enjoy moving around a lot and searching for the best food to nibble on. One way to encourage their browsing is by changing where and how you feed them. If your goats are trained to walk on a lead, you could take them out of their enclosure to see and sniff new things. Goats just love the excitement of a treasure hunt or something new and different. Just make sure they don't eat anything that might make them sick.
Did the goats do this?
They sure did. Another thing that goats love to do is they love to dig. They've got really strong hooves and they can dig themselves little holes to lay around in.
Doesn't that get them dirty?
It does, but it's good for them. It's called a dust bath. They just kind of lie around in the dirt and get all dusty. One thing you do need to make sure of is they don't dig under fences and escape though.
Making sure your goats can express their natural goat behaviours will help them to stay happy and healthy. goats deserve to be happy, healthy, and well loved. Caring for your goats and learning about their needs will help you to prevent them from feeling distressed, frightened, or bored. One very important thing to understand about goats is that they really need a fellow goat friend to live with. Goats are social animals and they feel safe and happy when in the company of other goats. When goats are in a pair or a herd, it allows them to play, explore, and communicate with each other. Responsible goat guardians should plan to look after at least 2 goats that get on well together. It's usually easier to get goats who already know each other, as introducing new goats can sometimes be difficult. If you're going to do this, ask your vet for advice.
What does it mean if they make that meh sound?
So that's called bleating, and goats can get very noisy. And just like people talking, bleating is goats' way of talking to each other. Unfortunately, we can't speak goat, but you can learn to understand what that bleating means.
Like if it's a scared bleat or a happy bleat?
Absolutely. So if they're bleating a lot or in a way that's a bit weird, they might be sick, injured, or need your help, and it's a good idea to go and check on them. The more time you spend with your goats, the more you'll understand what their bleating means.
Like all animals, it's important that goats get to live in a stress-free environment where they can feel safe and secure. How you handle your goats makes a big difference. You need to develop a relationship of trust where they know that you won't hurt them. You must never move your goat by pulling on their horns, coat, head, legs, or tail. Instead, you can train your goat to walk on a lead or come when you call them using food as a positive reward. It's a good idea to start doing this when they are young, so they get used to it, and always use a soft, gentle voice around your goats.
So one thing to remember about goats is they are really smart animals and they love going on adventures and exploring new things. So if things don't change, they can get really bored.
I hate being bored. I can relate.
Same, it's the worst thing in the world.
And it's the same thing for goats. So it's important that as their guardians, we give them new opportunities to investigate and explore new things.
Caring for your goat's feelings and their mental well-being is just as important as keeping their bodies healthy. Being a great goat guardian is a big responsibility, but it can also be very rewarding. Goats can make wonderful companions.